Welcome into the box score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair and trick or treat, Murph.
It's here.
The playoffs are
Yeah, they are, and I think our coverage area is going to do rather well. Gordonsville, Smith County, DeKalb County, Watertown, they're all in there ready to start the second season, and we're really excited about them still being around in November.
Of course, Smith County and Gordonsville both clinched region championships. Smith County, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and then finished that unblemished record off last Friday night with their game against Monterey. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and look at the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week stats from that game. Smith County and Monterey tied as far as first downs go. That's a little bit misleading, the fact that Smith County really got their business done in the first half. Murphy, 31-0. They just let Riley Martin throw it all over the yard. That's all I know to tell you. I mean, he threw it and threw it and threw it and threw it. 244 yards passing and four touchdowns in the first half alone. He had one pass for 7 yards on the opening drive of the third quarter. So an outstanding night for the freshman. You look at, as you look at these stats, a little bit more balanced than you think, but Peyton Hicks, another huge game, 51-yard punt. He had 2 interceptions, a big night for him as well, and on senior night.
You kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to question you about was the game that one-sided early, and obviously it was. And the one stat up there that really impressed me was the fact that there was only 4 penalties the whole night for Smith County. And I know Coach Dyer had to be awfully excited about that.
Key Harris, a huge night for the Owls. He had 2 receptions for 77 yards, a touchdown, a carry for 3 yards and a touchdown on a 4th and goal, a 46-yard punt return, and on the side, a little tip pass that Peyton Hicks intercepts and runs back to set up another Owl touchdown. Speaking of Peyton Hicks, 7 receptions, 73 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and then those 2 defensive interceptions. Riley Martin, 14 of 19, 1 interception, 4 touchdowns, 251 yards. Of course, he was 13 for 18 for 244. He now has 1,370 yards through the regular season for the Owls, and he's just a freshman.
I'm going to date myself a little bit, but back in the day when coaches were swapping VHS tape or even 16 millimeter film, they could be very specific about what games they showed the future opposing coach. But I guess now with the day of huddle, they can look at all 10 or 11 games if they want to, and that's got to pose some real problems for the Chattanooga prep coach, because he doesn't know whether to zero in on the running game or zero in on the passing game.
Well, Chattanooga Prep's going to play Gordonsville this week. We're going to play Forest, Murph. We're going to take the Rockets.
Thank you. But he's got to feel the same way, though.
Right. Coach Stevenson, Eli Stevenson.
Yes.
Monterey, Cole Bowman leads the way, 13 rushes for 112 yards. And Monterey, even with the loss, with Trousdale County's 37-0 loss to Westmoreland at Hartsville, of course, Cole Gregory gets hurt in that game, 8:51 to go in the second quarter. But Monterey turns around with their 2-3, Trousdale County's 2-3, Westmoreland's 2-3. All of it beat each other. All are 5-5. So then it goes to a tiebreaker. Tiebreaker being the most wins against 500 teams or above. Westmoreland and Monterey had 3 each. Trousdale County had 2. They're eliminated. Breaks a 38-year playoff streak, longest in the state, and puts Monterey 3rd and Westmoreland 4th. Cole Bowman, 13 rushes, 112 yards. Let's get to the Clay County and Gordonsville. We'll speak about that a little bit later. Jay Foster, 6 for 15, 137 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, 5 rushes for 21 yards and a score. Kyle Adams, 2 receptions for 101 yards and a touchdown. Gordonsville wins by 1. Clay County went for 2 there at the very end, came up short. And Nate Adams, a big night for the Bulldogs, 18 of 33, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8 rushes for 39 yards and a score. And then Nolan Adams, 6 receptions, 85 yards, and 3 carries for 10 yards. and a touchdown. It was a classic in Gordonsville.
Well, and I think you told me over the phone after the ball game with Coach Maynard helping the Clay County staff, that's the first time he'd been involved in a loss to Gordonsville in his entire coaching career, all those years at Smith County.
He was 14-0 against them at Smith County. He was 2-0 last year as a Clay County assistant in the regular season and the playoffs. And then the other night was the first one. Of course, he's the offense coordinator and former Smith County High L coach and principal for Clay County High School. Mike Dickerson is the defense coordinator for the Bulldogs. DeKalb County and Uffman, DeKalb County hung tough, lost to the Bees 26-7. Marquez Chalfant, 2 receptions for 28 yards and touchdown. Malachi Trapp, 11 carries for 65 yards. But once again, Uffman defense, very stingy. Bronson Chaffin, 11 for 18, 116 passing yards, a touchdown, 11 carries for 48 yards. And then Clayton Harris, the outstanding, I'm going to say all-state defensive end in 4A, 8 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. He's an outstanding player.
I would imagine if you ask Coach Steve Trapp, who's the most physical football team you faced all year, he'd have to say Upperman, because that's one of the things that Coach Adam Kane stresses. He wants his kids to be as tough as they can be out there on the field. And but I still like DeKalb County's chances against Red Bank. I'm not convinced that the champion from that particular region is that far ahead of any of the teams in DeKalb County's region.
In Region 4-4A. Let's go ahead and look at Watertown and community stats. Watertown, a big win, 63-0. Blake Waldorf had 6 completions for 110 yards, 161, 6 for 10. He was under 161 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Adam Cooper, 8 carries for 48 yards, 2 scores. And community only had 86 yards of offense. We'll look at the region scores when we return to the box score, sponsored by Carthage Safeway.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
Neighbors help each other. It's how community works. And it's how we do business at DTC. You can count on us for internet, TV, and phone, backed by local support.
For a limited time, get 1 month free when you add or upgrade your internet package. Enjoy internet speed that can keep up with all you do.
DTC. We're working hard to be a good neighbor.
Hello, I'm Bruce Daniel. I've lived in Cannon County all my life. For the last 59 years, I've only made it across the highway. I married my wife, Melody, in 1981. We hauled our first load of freight in 1983 with 1 truck and a couple old barred trailers. We found a way to make it. Our employees are the backbone of our company. Some of our team members have been with us for more than 30 years.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for Chief Geologist, General Mine Foreman, Mine Engineer, Graduate Mining Engineer, Electrical Superintendent, Mobile Superintendent, Mine Supervisor, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to the box score. Terry Collins and Murphy Fair. And we got Justin Malden always doing the hard work and making us look as good as he can. That's a tough chore, I know. But let's start out with the Region 4-1A scores. Of course, that score was on Thursday night, that Red Bowling Springs and Joe Burns. Red Bowling Springs does grab the number 3 seed with the 3-point win. I think that game was in Cedar Hill. And then Gordonsville at Turney Ford Field in double overtime beats Clay County 42-41. Of course, we've already talked about that. But Red Bowling finished in third. they've had a good year.
They really have, and I'm really proud of those kids. Playoffs is not something that people in Red Bowling Springs talk a whole lot about when football season rolls around. But obviously, with the coach's son being the quarterback, he had a great understanding of the game, and I'm really happy for those kids. There were a lot of times that I would see a Red Bowling game, and there weren't 6 or 8 players on the sideline. They just barely had enough to field a football team. And I know they've got to be awfully excited about being in the playoffs.
Of course, Coach Kyle Shoulders, got his start as a head coach at Red Bowling. He was very successful there for them. And, they've, with only 4 teams in their region, Murph, gives them an opportunity to go to the playoffs every year.
Sure. And I'm not so sure that I'm not making any accusations because just because, but I'm not real sure. I know Joe Burns has a new head football coach, and seeing that they were going to have to play Red Bowling Springs the last week of the season to get into the playoffs, I can't help but think that there was a little overconfidence there, maybe.
Well, Joe Burns is now going, as we look at the bracket, they're going to get to go to South Pittsburgh now at 1-9, fetching off against one of the better teams in the region, and the Region 3 champion. The Pirates, every year, Murph, they're loaded.
They'll get to see that pirate ship just beyond the end zone and all the fireworks that come out of it.
Clay County and Sale Creek, that's a very intriguing matchup. Sale Creek's had a good year. Excuse me, they're 7-3. Clay County coming off a tough loss at 6-4, have played well as of late. And Coach Bruce Lamb getting a chance to play this game at home, Murphy. I think that'll be a very, very close ball game.
It wouldn't surprise me if Sale Creek comes away the winner in that. Jason Fitzgerald, who has been the head coach at Ray County, at Hickson, and also Meigs County. He was at Meigs County the last couple of years and took that team to the Blue Cross Bowl, has turned that fairly young program around. I think that'll be a dogfight. I think it'll be a very close game.
Red Bowling Springs going on the road to the Valley to play Whitwell, and Whitwell's is a good club, Murph.
Yeah, 2-3 years ago they won the state championship. So, I think Whitwell wins that game easily, and it'll be interesting to see Whitwell come to Gordonsville next week. Hopefully that's the case.
Gordonsville playing against Chattanooga Prep. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 3-2A scores. Of course, Westmoreland goes to Hartsville, gets the big win, 37-0, to knock the Jackets out of the playoffs. East Robertson, big win over Jackson County, 62-14, and Smith County beats Monterey 31-7. Murphy, we were expecting that, we want to thank Sonica Carthage for providing these scores, but we were expecting that Westmoreland Trailster game to be a lot closer. Of course, it was 7-0 when their Mr. Everything, Cole Gregory, goes out.
Yeah, and I can't say I'm surprised at that. I'm surprised at the margin of 37 and a shutout of Trousdale County. It's got to have some folks over there not feeling very good right now. And you said it was how many years that they'd
38 years in a row they've been in the playoffs, which is the state's longest streak. And that was broken with their loss. Let's go ahead and look at Region 4-2A scores. Sonica Carthage bringing you those. Murphy, one that went right down to the end. Fayetteville scores in the final minute at home to beat Forest 39-37, and then Marion County 42-9 over Cascade. My color guy Scott Edens for radio had to babysit last week his granddaughter, so he looks at Fayetteville, Forest, and Cascade, 3 or 4 games they each played. He said there's not a nickel's worth of difference in any of those, and that Marion's just a slight bit above them. But he echoed the sentiments that you said, Murphy, that he didn't feel like that Marion County was the second best team in the state.
No, not at all. And it'll be interesting to see because Fayetteville plays Monterey this week.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see that point spread because they're in the same bracket with Smith County. Smith County could very well end up hosting Fayetteville next week.
Right. Let's go ahead and look at those brackets. Justin looks at Smith County playing against Forest Rockets. Of course, Gordonsville's already played Forest. Watertown's already played Forest. Both got the Tigers came out on the top of the Rockets. Then Fayetteville at home hosts Monterey. Both those teams at 5-5. And I'll give Monterey credit. Last week, Murphy, they battled to the end. They only had about 63 yards at halftime. Was down 31-0. But Coach Hughes, his team came out and they continued and finally scored with about 9 minutes to go in the ball game. like you said, Murph, I think that'll be a good game, and it wouldn't shock me to see Monterey go on the road and win.
It would me. Fayetteville's got so much speed. I think that'll be a real problem for Monterey. But you look up there, both are 5-5,
Right.
and anything can happen. All you got to do is ask somebody from Trousdale County, what do they think?
Cascade going to East Robertson. I don't see that being much of a game if the Indians perform like they're capable of. And then Westmoreland coming off a huge win against Trousdale County, going to Marion County, who's 10-0. But Marion County at times has not looked that impressive. I got to see part of the County game, and that was a close game. If it hadn't been for some freak plays, and especially in the special teams, Murph, Cannon battled Marion kind of tooth and nail.
Yeah, well, Cannon County gave them 2 easy touchdowns in the first half. They were down 21-7 at intermission, but that game should have been 7-7 at the half. Didn't work out that way. But I see at least 1, maybe 2 fairly significant upsets in that particular quadrant.
Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4-3A Sonic with Carthage scores. Giles County beat Sequatchie County 41-7. And speaking of Sonic of Carthage, I got to give them a little bit of shout out. Today is Halloween. Of course, I know a lot of people are not going to be able to see this. It's going to be too late. But they were wrapped around the building trying to get those 50-cent corn dogs today. They do that every Halloween. And, Giles being that big over Sequatchie, I think there's that big of a stretch in the number 1 and 2 teams, Murphy, in Region 4-3A.
I would agree. Giles County could probably compete pretty well at 4A. They've just got so much athletic ability and speed. And Coach O'Connor's been around the football field a long time, and he does a great job down there. I think that's a great marriage between he and Giles County football.
If you've never been to a home game at Giles County over in the old stadium, which once was condemned, but they redid it, you need to do so.
That's a beautiful site. One of the
special place.
One of the prettiest stadiums in the state for high school football.
And one of the oldest, I might add. Grundy County big over Pickett County, 65-16, and then Watertown, as we talked earlier, 63-0. Let's go ahead and over community. Looking at the bracket, of course, Meigs County on top. A lot of people feel like, Murphy, that Meigs County is good enough to get to them and Giles County are the 2 favorites, I should say, to meet there in that quarterfinal matchup.
I agree. I don't know that there's an upset special in that group right there. Maybe Watertown, if they play their A game, might give McMahon Central a pretty good game. I just don't think the Valley was that good, and that's why Marion County's 10-0. I don't think they're a 10-0 number 2 in the state team.
Meigs County sitting there at 10-0. Grundy County 5-5. Sequatchie 6-4 against Tyner. Tyner always has a lot of athletes, Murphy, and that could give the Indians trouble, although they're playing that in Dunlap.
Yeah, could be a surprise there. Sequatchie's been up and down, like you said, all season long.
Watertown at McMahon Central, who's 7-3, and then Brainerd going to Giles County. And don't let that record deceive you on Giles County. They only had 9 games. They're 7-2. But Murphy, they've played a very, very tough schedule.
They do, and have a lot of. They probably lead the state in travel miles too.
Right. That's true. Let's look at Region 4-4A. Sonic Carthage scores. Macon County Stone Memorial. Let me tell you how that one ended. Macon on a trick play, a halfback pass, I think it was, gets about a 35, 40-yard touchdown with less than a minute to go. They're up 14-13. They're going to kick the extra point and go for the tie. The snap is high. The Borders kid goes back and gets it, slings it in the end zone, kind of like a Hail Mary. Macon County comes down with it to win 15-14 to clinch a home playoff game, which that made them the number 2 seed, and made Stone, who had led for most of the night, the number 3 seed. So Coach Kyle Shoulders, after the Smith County game and the Stone Memorial game, probably better go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, they were awfully fortunate to come away with the win in that one. Stone still made the playoffs, and they've got to go to Hickson while Upperman entertains East Ridge. So there could be another battle between those teams again. If Macon County and Stone gets out there, Stone would have to play their A game in order to get past Upperman, but that could happen.
You've got Red Bank hosting DeKalb. You got Macon hosting Loudon. Stone Memorial going to Hickson. East Ridge and Upperman. Murphy, do you see any upsets there?
Well, just about all four of those games could go either way. I think Upperman's probably the more solid favorite to beat East Ridge, but Stone and Hickson, that one could go either way in my mind. I think Loudon is capable of playing Macon County. I think a lot of their coach over there, he does a really good job. And the same with the Cab at Red Bank. It wouldn't surprise me a whole lot if the Cab comes away with a win against Red Bank.
When you look, Murphy, to say that this, I know Macon and Upperman could be on a collision for a second meeting, but still, when you look, that first time, that was 14-7. Macon had some very, 125, 30 yards in penalties that game. They were down 14-0 at half, made a big comeback in Lafayette, but Upperman held on. But, when you look at the teams that Upperman have played, they're battle-tested.
They are. They played a team or two that's at the 5A level, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Adam Kane will do whatever it takes in order to have those kids ready for that game on Friday night.
Let's go ahead and look at some more scores. Gallatin beats Lebanon 32-30, knocks Lebanon with some other scores that happened out of the playoffs. Green Hill beats Mount Juliet. A lot larger margin than I was expecting there. I thought that would be a closer game. Wound up 35-3. Cokeville gets the big win over Wilson Central. And then Lipscomb Academy with the upset of the #1 team in the private school big division, 34-28 McCauley. And Lipscomb, last I heard, still out of the playoffs.
They are. That hearing was yesterday, and TSSAA, very rarely do they ever turn around the ruling on something like that. And I think there's an injunction now has been filed by Lipscomb to see if they can't get into the playoffs, but I don't see that happening. I think the biggest surprise up there, like you mentioned, is Green Hill. They hammered Mount Juliet 35-3, and Mount Juliet still ends up winning the region.
And that was only, 3-4 miles separate those schools?
I'd say the vast majority of the kids at Green Hill High School were students at Mount Juliet last year.
We'll have an interview with David, better known as Butch Agee, for the Gordonsville Tigers. He's the AD over there when we return to the box score, brought to you by Carthage Safeway.
Community Wellness Clinic is a nurse practitioner-owned and operated full-service medical clinic. Our emphasis is on good health and wellness throughout every generation of your family. We strive to provide the expert quality of care that our patients deserve and expect. Along with primary care services, we also offer a full complement of urgent care services. Let us be your family's good health partner. Community Wellness Clinic in Woodbury. Phone 615-563-7515.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
If you're a commercial driver looking for a company to call home, Huff and Puff Trucking is the company for you. Our employees are professional and dedicated individuals that take pride in what they do. We offer an outstanding pay package with a dispatch structure that maximizes your home time. To learn more about a company that knows you by name and treats you like family, call us at 1-800-965-5033 or visit our website at huffpufftrucking.com.
And welcome into the box score. We've got with us Butch Agee, a familiar name for our viewers. Butch, a former coach at Gordonsville, now the athletic director. And Butch, congratulations on retirement and just fooling with cows now, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's all we got going on over here. Not much. Yeah, I appreciate that.
But you went to Gordonsville High School, and then you became a coach, and then you became the AD. You got to figure you spent 3/4 of your life at Gordonsville High School.
Just about. You're correct. This is year 35, so I've been here a long time.
That's awesome.
Butch, when you're looking at your fall sports, of course, volleyball team, very successful, won the district championship. Of course, your football team in a outstanding game last Friday night. Beats Clay County 42-41 in double overtime. I know you were at that game. I was listening. I didn't get a chance to. I would have had time actually to drive over there had I known the game was going to last that long. But still, it was probably one of the top 5 or 10 all-time thrilling moments as far as close game go in Gordonsville history.
It's been a very entertaining game. You know, we felt like we had chances at times to put it away, but those guys, they did a good job scheming things and planning, and were able to get back in it. And like I say, it was entertaining right up to the very end, right up to the final play of the game.
Butch, you got any idea at all how many people were at that ball game? I know it had to be not even hardly standing room only.
Well, it was crowded. We have so many passes and all, season passes and things and all. It's kind of hard to gauge. You know, our gate pay was about I think maybe 600, but when you add in all the others that are, you know, pass list and have their season passes and band members and things like that, it's kind of hard to gauge. But it was they said that was as loud a crowd as we had all year for sure.
Butch, as you prepare for the playoffs, of course, these first 2 games, if you win the first one, are going to be at home. You go through the routine of having those 5 home games during the year. Is there anything in a playoff game that you have to prepare for that you don't during the regular season?
No, I think, you know, as far as the weekly preparation and the night, game night and things, everything's pretty well the same. You know, it's just a little more probably excitement and anticipation and all that goes into the playoffs. But everything else, I think the coaches, they approach each game pretty well the same. Just try to prepare our kids and, have them ready for the game that night.
But you've been over there so long, I know the blood in your veins has to run a little bit blue, if not totally blue. What makes Gordonsville such a special place to go? I always have a great time when I go to Gordonsville for a football game, and last Thursday night might have been a little bit of an exception because the game was played on Friday, but nonetheless, what's so special about Turney Ford Field?
I don't know. I think it's the fact that the people that are here that are doing the coaching and things, and in the school, you know, the majority of them are from here, and the programs in the school and all mean a lot to them, and they want that to be passed on to the young kids that know that they're coaching. And, you know, just like I say, there's a lot of pride in the school, a lot of pride in the community. And, that hopefully is transferred over from our coaches and all and teachers and all to our students.
Butch, when you look at your field, it's one of the top fields that we see, I guess every 2 years because they play the other time over at Al Stadium. But, you know, that field takes a lot of maintenance. Let's talk about who is responsible for that, because it is immaculate.
Well, we got 2, Coach Peoples and Coach Jackson, I think, are the 2 that do the majority of work on the field. Coach Peoples, particularly the game field, and Coach Jackson with the helping around the other outside the fence and things and all. But, people would be surprised the amount of time it takes and all to keep it the way that it is, to have the surface and all taken care of and have it where it's going to last throughout the football season. And it's and I agree with you. It's hard to find many that are much better than what we have here. And that goes back to Mr. Tom Arnold 20, 30 years ago, I guess, coming over here and taking his time to prepare us a surface and all and have that done. So it's been 30 years since that was done, and it's just got better every year.
Butch, I can't keep from being a little bit jealous of people like you, and let me tell you why. In the 11 years it took me to go grades 1 through 12, I was in 8 different schools. But like I was teasing you early on at the top of the show, Gordonsville's the only place you've ever gone to school, the only place you've ever worked. Do you realize how fortunate you are? Do you ever sit down and just pinch yourself and thank God, for lack of a better term here, as to how fortunate you are to have lived your entire life with the same people you knew when you were 5 years old, for the most part?
Well, it is, and I think until you really sit back sometimes and reflect on it, how fortunate we are to, and a lot of these people, they're your friends, but yet they're close enough to be your family.
Sure.
And, you've grown up with them. You went to school with them. You work with them. You see them in the community and those things. And, and they support you. And that's the good thing about it. They want what's right for the school and for the kids and all. And they'll do. We have so many people that volunteer up here and do so much for us for no recognition and no pay or anything. But they think that much of Gordonsville School and want what's best for the kids in the building. And are, just so many people willing to help us make things better for them.
There was a bunch of people around when you were 8 and 10 years old doing that, and you can't help but just want to pay that forward to let kids today have the same experience you had.
Well, I think so. That's kind of like I said, that thing's kind of those kind of things are passed on from generation to generation. You have something that you can do to assist in the growth or development of kids or the school or whatever it is. And you want to do your part. I mean, that's the thing about especially the Native people here around the community, that they want to be here helping make things better.
Butch, of course, Shane Vaden, the principal, a good friend of yours. And when you look at the camaraderie between you and the coaches, which a lot of them you either had in school or grew up with. Whether it be assistant coaches or head coaches or whatever, I guess Coach Bibb being, the exception to that, not going to Gordonsville School, but virtually all the assistant coaches are there. And it's like you said, not only do you see these people on the softball field together or the gridiron coaching a team or, whatever sport it is, but then you see them out in town together, their families eating together. How important is that in building the camaraderie that you need to build between principal, athletic director, coaches, and program?
Well, I think any time that your coaches and or be administrators, teach whatever, anytime they have positive relationships with each other, it's going to carry over and reflect over to the kids. So, and the teachers support, they support the kids. They're going to hold them accountable in the classroom for doing what's right. Their coaches are going to hold them accountable. So they work well together. And then those teachers are going to support the kids in extracurricular activities and things like that. But like I say, it goes hand. They work together for the success of the kid. They're not going to short them in one area or the other. And the teachers and coaches respect one another, and that they want them to hold the kids accountable for these things.
Coach, tell us a little bit about Chattanooga Prep. I think this is only their second or third year of existence. I think they're probably what most people would call a charter school. The record kind of reflects their newness. They're only 3-7 during the regular season. What kind of football team are you all looking for this week?
They're going to be excessively athletic. They'll have more speed than anybody we have seen this year. They are a charter school. I guess this is the third year. They don't have any seniors on the team. They go freshmen through juniors. Their basketball team made the state tournament last year with freshmen and sophomores, so you can tell the kind of athletes and all that they have. So if you're in Chattanooga, you're allowed to attend the charter school, so they can draw from a large area. So they're, like I say, they're new in the fact that, experience-wise, but talent-wise, they're going to be as good as anybody we have seen this year. So, we've got to do a good job of containing outside the perimeter. I know that they like to throw the deep ball. I've voiced just a little bit. I talked to Coach Jackson. They're one of those teams that can score anywhere on the field at any time. So it's just it's a hope that we can control the ball and get them off the field at times and not give up too many big plays.
Well, Coach Agee, we didn't even get to touch on softball because our time's about up, but Coach Jonathan Bush, of course, wins the state championship in 2023 after winning in 2014. And then he's got Kaylee Plumley, a Tennessee commitment, his pitcher, and a lot of those players coming back. I know you got to be excited about softball come spring.
I think, there's a lot of anticipation going into this year. You hope you don't hit complacency. I know, Eagleville last year coming off, they were young, coming back off the state championship the year before. So there's, and we wind up beating them 2 times out there. So there's no guarantees, but we got a great group of girls, and obviously Coach Bush and his staff does a terrific job with them, and I think he'll have them prepared and hope they're in a good mindset going into the season.
Well, Coach Butch Agee, we appreciate you visiting with us, the athletic director at Gordonsville. Best of luck to the playoffs to the Tigers.
All right, thank you, guys. Y'all have a good day.
We'll be back with more as we'll look at the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week, plus Murphy's picks when we return to the Box Score, brought to you by Carthage Safeway.
What is your emergency?
I think I'm being robbed.
Sir?
These big home security guys want way too much money from me.
Let's connect you to a local company right away.
It's a crime what big national companies charge for home security.
For just $49.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3 window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and standard installation.
Help is on the way, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Switch now and save. Call or visit DTC Security online today.
Community Wellness Clinic is a nurse practitioner-owned and operated full-service medical clinic. Our emphasis is on good health and wellness throughout every generation of your family. We strive to provide the expert quality of care that our patients deserve and expect. Along with primary care services, we also offer a full complement of urgent care services. Let us be your family's good health partner. Community Wellness Clinic in Woodbury. Phone 615-563-7515.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for chief geologist, general mine foreman, mine engineer, graduate mining engineer, electrical superintendent, mobile superintendent, mine supervisor, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
Welcome back to the Box Score for our final segment. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair, and we want to encourage you to, it's a tape delay. You won't get to see it live like you normally do in the regular season, but Chattanooga Prep at Gordonsville is our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports. That'll be next week, of course. With the game being Friday night, we're not getting to do it live due to TWSAA guidelines, but still, Murphy, people can go to the website, follow us on Twitter, whatever the case may be, and find out when we're going to replay that.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and look at some picks that Murphy's going to indulge in, and first one's going to be East Tennessee, as Westmoreland makes the pretty far trip down to Jasper to face off against Marion County.
Yeah, there's not a really good way to get from Westmoreland to Jasper. I'd hate to have to make that drive. And all of my picks this week are numbers 4 and 3 teams that have a chance to beat a number 2 or a number 1. And I think Westmoreland, I haven't seen Westmoreland play this year. They've kind of been up and down a little bit. I know it's made it awfully hard for me to pick whoever Westmoreland's playing each week, but I really think if they bring their A game, and I've mentioned that a lot in this show this week, but I think they've got a shot. I've seen Marion play twice, and I really wasn't overly impressed either time.
Well, you're looking at going from the top of the state to the bottom of the state.
That's true.
Jasper's not far from the Alabama and Georgia line, and Westmoreland's right up, snugged up against Kentucky, probably 8 or 10 miles away. So also Oneida going to Happy Valley.
Yeah, I've been to both of those schools, Oneida, multiple times for ball games, and Oneida is one of those teams that they make the playoffs almost every year, and I just don't see them bowing out in the first week of the playoffs. Happy Valley is actually within the city limits of Elizabethton.
Right.
And there's 2 other high schools in that county, I believe. I know Hampton is in that county as well. But I do think Oneida's got a really good chance of winning that ball game.
And Knox Hall's at Morristown West.
Both have got really good records. Knoxville Halls was 8-2 this year. That's the first time they've been that much in the win column that many times during the regular season. I think they played a tougher schedule, played more Knoxville schools than has Morristown West, and that's why I've got the Red Devils as my favorite in that game.
Middle Tennessee picks, looking at Sale Creek going to Clay County. Sale Creek, a much improved team.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that Jason Fitzgerald, the former coach at Hickson, at Meigs County, and also Ray County, now running that Sale Creek team, and he's done a great job there, and I think that's a upset waiting to happen right there.
And Salina, Independence at Smyrna.
The coach at Independence, Coach Stedham, is a good friend of mine and does such a great job, and Smyrna has struggled a little bit this year in a region or Cane Ridge has pretty much dominated for the last several years. So I've got to go with Independence in that one, just because I think Scott will be better prepared for Smyrna than will Coach Williams.
Nolensville traveling down to Tullahoma.
Yeah, those schools not very far apart, but Nolensville, this is their first year, I think, in 5A football. They were 4A. No, wait a minute. They're in. Oh, that is 5A, and Tullahoma up there also. So I think that'll be a pretty close ball game. But I really look for Nolensville. They play a much tougher schedule too, for them to come away the winner there.
Of course, Nolensville and Page has had some battles.
Boy, they have
through the last few years. Some outstanding games. Looking at West Tennessee picks, Collierville making a pretty long trip to Clarksville.
Yeah, like Bartlett's having to make a long trip to Clarksville too to take on Rossview. I just don't think that region, Region 7, 6A, is that strong, and that's why I've got a couple of upsets in that particular region. I think the Memphis schools sweep the Montgomery County schools in the first round of the playoffs. So I'm picking Collierville and Bartlett to come away with road wins there.
Commandos making a long trip down to Mumford.
I've heard a lot of good things about the quarterback at Hendersonville. He was hurt in the game last Friday night. I don't think it was anything serious. And as much as I think of Munford, coached by Slade Calhoun, is that not a great name for a coach, I think? But I think Hendersonville's just got a little bit too much talent for the Munford Cougars, so I'm going with Hendersonville.
All right, let's look at the local picks. You got Chattanooga Prep going to Turney Ford Field and taking on the Gordonsville Tigers.
Maybe one of the fastest teams that's ever hit Gordonsville in quite some time, as Butch told us in the interview earlier. But I still think Gordonsville is they've got momentum right now with the big win over Clay County. I think they have a couple more rounds, maybe 3, before the season's over for them.
Forest at Smith County.
Smith County is another team I think that could go very deep in the playoffs. They've never been to a state championship game, and I don't want to jinx anybody by saying that, but that bracket looks very good to Owl fans, and I didn't have any choice but to vote for Smith County in that one.
Watertown at McMahon and DeKalb at Red Bank.
Don't know a whole lot about McMahon County or Red Bank. I think DeKalb's got a shot on the road, but I think Watertown's got an even better shot to win in Inglewood against McMahon Central.
Well, that'll about wrap up the show for today. For Justin Malden and Murphy Fair, I'm Terry Collins. Good night on the Box Score.